If you've ever heard the phrases long form or short form content before, but you're not really sure what types of content fit into which, or how they're different, or when to use them, then this video is for you. I'm also going to be sharing why you might want to consider using both in your overall content marketing strategy and what is best to use for what. So what is the difference between long form and short form content? What does it actually mean? There's actually technically no official definition for this, but most marketers tend to agree on a rough definition of what these might include. So short form content examples might be Instagram grid posts or carousels, Instagram reels and TikTok videos, YouTube shorts or YouTube videos that are typically under 10 minutes long. I'll come back to that in a moment. Email newsletters would count as short form content, also pins and idea pins on Pinterest, posts to LinkedIn or tweets on Twitter, all of those kinds of things. Meanwhile, long form content would be things like blog posts that are typically over 1,000 words, YouTube videos that are typically over 10 minutes long, podcast episodes and LinkedIn articles, again, that are over kind of the 1,000 word mark as well. And it does surprise some people that the kind of benchmark for the blog post is 1,000 words or over, because an 800 word blog post does sound like quite a long piece of content. But this is just a rough benchmark, and it really comes down to the value and the depth of the information that you're providing inside these pieces of content. So it is just a rule of thumb, and I'm going to go through some of the benefits of long form content. And if you have an 800 word blog post that actually achieves lots of these benefits, then it possibly could be considered a long form piece of content. So just bear that in mind. It's kind of a rough guide. So why would you create long form content like those longer YouTube videos and blog posts, things like that? What are the benefits? First of all, this long form content, as the name possibly suggests, can tend to last longer and is more evergreen. So you'll notice with things like social media posts, you'll post them up one day and they might get a bit of traction for a few days and then they're kind of gone with the wind. There's so much of this kind of content being created all the time that it's very fast moving, so things get lost very quickly. And even shorter form content like Instagram stories only last for 24 hours on the Instagram stories platform. Meanwhile, evergreen means that something lasts and potentially gets more traction as time goes on, or at least retains its value for a longer time. Now, there are kind of nuances with this. Obviously, the content that you're creating, if it's very topical or something that's very much in the news at the moment, you could write 2,000 words about something like that, and it would be long form content, but that wouldn't necessarily be evergreen, because in a month's time, that might not be relevant. It might not be coming up in searches. People won't be interested in that anymore. So just because a piece of content is long form doesn't actually mean that it will be evergreen. It's just that the two go hand in hand quite well, because if you are spending a bit longer putting something together like a 15-minute video or a 2,000 word blog post, you kind of want to get as much bang for your buck out of that as possible. So you want to create it around a topic that's going to be relevant in months to come and years to come. Long form content is typically also better for search engines or searchability, whether that is Google or YouTube. YouTube is also considered a search engine. Because this type of content lasts longer, maybe you're creating it about a topic that is an evergreen topic, then it's going to have more opportunity for people to search for it, find it, no matter how old it is. If you search something on Google, you'll get the top 10 results, and possibly the top 2 will be more recent blog posts or something like that, but you'll also get articles on there that are maybe 1 or 2 or even 3 or 4 years old as well. With long form content, because it takes that extra time and that extra research to create something that is genuinely high value and that is longer, it's going to help you to stand out more, because less people are able to create that kind of a content, and it's going to help you to develop your authority more because you spent that time researching and putting it together. Long form content also tends to encourage deeper engagement, whereas on social media you might have someone liking something or leaving like a sentence long comment. And while the same can be true for blog posts and YouTube, people are much more likely to do a next step after they've listened to a podcast episode or watched a YouTube video if you actually ask them to do something else. You're not interrupting them whilst they're having a nice little scroll on social media. You're actually providing something of value, and they're going to be much more likely to take a next step with you. So it creates a deeper connection with your brand. Long form content is great because it also can be easily repurposed into short form content. So you could take a blog post and get several Instagram posts of pulling out the text from that one blog post, for example. Okay, so why use short form content and what's the benefits of that instead? So things like Instagram posts, TikTok videos, that kind of thing. Obviously they are quicker to create, but they're also quicker to consume as well. So if you just want to get across a quick message, maybe about something that's quite topical or something that you've just thought of and you really just want to get it out there quickly, it's going to be a lot easier for you to do that than writing up a whole entire blog post and making a plan for a YouTube video, etc. Short form content allows you to be much more reactive, much more flexible. So if things are happening in the news or in your industry, you can really stay on top of that much easier than having to do a lot of research to put together a long form piece of content. Short form content also allows you to create more of a conversation between you and your audience as well. So with like long blog posts and long YouTube videos, you put in all of that work, you put it out there, and then you might have some discussions in the comments with people, but that's about it. With short form content, what you're able to do is put out a post very quickly, get feedback on that post, and then create another post or something around that that's similar and create that continued discussion. Also, short form content is much better for getting quick engagement and quick reach. So if you are creating something like a long blog post or long YouTube video, it might actually take a few days or weeks or even months to get traction and get people viewing it. Whereas if you post something on social media, it tends to get that initial hit and you can kind of learn from that and make decisions quicker, but it also just helps you get that initial boost of engagement if that's what you need about a certain topic or a certain new offer, product, service that you're selling. So how do you decide when to use long form content versus short form content? Obviously, first of all, you really want to consider what your goal is for this piece of content. Are you using it to get traffic and you want an initial hit of traffic and getting really quick reach, in which case maybe a short form piece of content might be better because long form content can tend to take a while to bring in that traffic. Maybe your goal for that content is to start getting feedback and start a conversation with your audience. Again, then short form content is really good for that. But if you're trying to do something like improve your SEO on your website and get known for a specific service or offering and what you do, then longer form content is probably going to better achieve that for you because it can be really searchable, it lasts a lot longer if you want to create that evergreen content, and it really positions you as an authority and helps you stand out. Maybe you want to create a piece of content that you can refer people back to again and again. Maybe you want to be able to send it to clients because they often come up with the same questions, in which case a long form piece of content is going to be more detailed, it's going to be more in depth for people, and again it's going to be evergreen, so it's not going to lose its value over time. It's still going to maintain that original usefulness as time goes on, in which case then long form content will work better. It also really depends on the resources that you have available to you, of course, because we can't all just churn out multiple long form pieces of content a week, especially if we are solo business owners and we don't have a big dedicated marketing team. So figure out what's actually achievable to you, maybe creating one long form piece of content a week or a couple per month is more achievable, and then the rest of the time you can create some short form content. I personally think having a healthy mixture of both types of content is great anyway, and while that might sound like a lot more work because you're creating all of these different types of content, if you've got a streamlined content creation process in place, then it is really not that much harder. So for example, my process with this is each week I create one long form piece of content, whether that's a blog post or a podcast episode or a YouTube video, and then I create several pieces of short form content like Instagram posts, Instagram reels, Pinterest pins, that kind of thing, based on that first original piece of long form content. So I kind of repurpose it, I kind of pick out the key messages from that piece of long form content, and that means that also everything that I'm speaking about and sharing about in my content that week is all surrounding the same theme as well. So it makes a lot of sense for my audience as well when they're listening to me and catching up on the things that I'm posting. Everything is all kind of nicely linked together. So that's the way I like to do it, and I'm teaching exactly how to do all of this and streamline, automate and repurpose all of your content marketing in my new online course, the Streamlined Content System. I'm going to be showing you how to design a holistic content strategy that involves both long form and short form content working together, and getting you set up with a 30-day content planning system easily. So if you want to learn more about that, I'll leave a link in the video description. You can join the waitlist for the course over there as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back again next week with another video.